All right, now that India and Pakistan has established ceasefire, it seems like there is some kind of reworking on the Indus Water Treaty that's happening. India is clear that it remains in abeyance, but you have Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah, who's now raised the issue of reviving the Tulbul Navigation Project. This basically was a project that was to be established by India in an area in Jammu and Kashmir to have better usage of the Indus waters. But Pakistan had opposed it, saying this is a violation of the Indus Water Treaty and therefore you cannot build that project. Now tempers have fled between the Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah and the opposition Mehbooba Mufti, PDP chief. They've clashed over the revival of the long-stalled Tulbul Navigation Project days after India basically decided to hold on to the Indus Water Treaty. India had suspended the Indus Water Treaty just a few weeks ago after the Pahalgam attacks. This Indus Water Treaty was a 1960 World Bank brokered treaty. It survived wars, but not this one, not the Pahalgam massacre. Now the Tulbul project, a navigation lock-cum control structure on Wullar Lake in North Kashmir, was first launched in 1980s but stalled under Pakistani pressure, citing treaty violations of the Indus Water Treaty. Omar Abdullah now says, now that you've anyway kept Indus Water Treaty in abeyance, India has to use that water for our benefit, our country's benefit. Let's establish the Tulbul project. Posting visuals of the unfinished barrage, Omar Abdullah in fact put out a message, and I quote, this is what he said: "Now that Indus Water Treaty has been temporarily suspended, I wonder if we can resume the Tulbul project." Mehbooba Mufti responding, slamming Omar Abdullah, saying this is dangerous, this is provocative, water cannot be weaponized, even if it is against Pakistan. Here's what Mehbooba Mufti said, let's hear it.
देखिए, मैं समझती हूँ जो इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी है, इसको जो सस्पेंड किया है गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने, मेरे हिसाब से ये अनफॉर्चुनेट है। खासकर जब उमर साहब जो हमारे वजीर आला हैं, वो जानते हैं कि अभी जंग के दहाने से दोनों मुल्क वापस आए हैं और उसमें अमेरिका को इंटरवीन करना पड़ा। तो ऐसे में ये कहना कि तुलबुल जो है उसको बराज को बनाएंगे चूंकि इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी अब सस्पेंड हो चुकी है, तो मुझे लगता है ये एक प्रोवोकेशन है।
All right, well, that was Mehbooba Mufti, and here's what Omar Abdullah said in a sharp retort. Omar Abdullah said, Mehbooba Mufti is doing nothing but trying to please some people across the borders. She's basically just playing to the gallery. This is a historic betrayal. Tulbul project has to be revived. In fact, here's some background on the Tulbul project and most importantly the Indus Water Treaty. We hear in 2003 the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly had passed a unanimous resolution seeking abrogation of the Indus Water Treaty. Then in 2016 it repeated that demand. Now a PIL challenging the treaty as unconstitutional is also still pending in the Supreme Court. So there's been multiple attempts from India's side to suspend the Indus Water Treaty, but that never happened, considering it had several global players that at that point came in to ensure this treaty was established between India and Pakistan. So that said, this is the opportune time that India has taken to keep this Indus Water Treaty in abeyance and do everything that we can in our capacity to consume and use water for Indians' benefit. Now, why this is a political flashpoint, I'm going to bring in our panelists to give us a little more. If I can quickly introduce on board with us today, Major General S.B. Asthana, author, director, USI of India and former DG Infantry. We also have Professor Sanjay Bharadwaj, Center for South Asian Studies, School of International Studies. Pathikrit Payne, Foreign Affairs expert. I apologize if I've mispronounced your name, but thank you very much. Right. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Now, a quick question to Professor Sanjay Bharadwaj. If you could give us a sense on what exactly is the Tulbul project. Pathikrit, if you want to come in on that, on the Tulbul project, which is a navigation lock-cum control structure in the Wullar Lake. It appears that water from the Indus waters could be used for India's benefit through this project, was kept on hold because Pakistan was opposing it, saying it violates the treaty. Today, is this an opportune time for us to revive it?
Good evening, Nabila. See, frankly, this Tulbul project is one of the most pioneering barrage that was being created for water storage and navigation. I think the contention that the Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister is putting up is that if you construct the barrage, then you actually make the Jhelum over there navigable for people of Kashmir, and downstream you can actually use it for generation of hydroelectricity. It's one of the western rivers like Indus, Chenab, Jhelum, which were Pakistan was supposed to have unrestricted supply of that. The issue is this: we can actually do it for two reasons. Number one, it is a reality that the Indus Water Treaty has been put in suspension or abeyance, and Prime Minister has been saying it for the last 10 years that water and blood cannot flow together. At the same time, even before the suspension that happened now, from February 2023, on two occasions, Government of India had written to Pakistan for review and modification of the Indus Water Treaty, and Pakistan has not responded to it. Now, the whole contention that is brought time and again that we cannot do anything because World Bank is involved. Let me make it very clear: World Bank has clarified they were just a facilitator in the entire thing. It's ultimately a bilateral issue. So, if India decides that it wants to suspend the treaty or want to review and modify the treaty, Pakistan simply cannot do anything. So I think this is the right time to actually ensure that we have better exploitation and utilization of the Indus rivers, primarily because there has been major restructuring. Demography has altered, our priorities have altered. There is much more requirement for water, which should be used for our own agricultural purposes, which unfortunately was flowing away. So I think there is nothing wrong if the barrage comes up, because we have to take it into our contention that the water that we have, we must utilize for ourselves. The issue of Indus Water Treaty, even if it was not suspended because of the Pahalgam incident, even before that, if India had been asking Pakistan for review and modification, and if Pakistan was not responding to that, that doesn't mean that we have to abide by that entire treaty as for eternity. So there has to be a review, and I think this one, along with many others, should be coming up. There are four major projects which have been fast tracked in the last couple of days, which include the Pahalgam, Lake, Kiru, and Puar, which shows that the government is very serious in terms of constructing these hydroelectric projects or the other storage facilities. And I'm sure Tulbul will be one of that, which will be coming up very soon. Back to you.
If I could bring in Professor Sanjay Bharadwaj on this. Professor, how significant or worried should we be on Pakistan's threat that if we block off Indus waters, then we will retaliate in hard? Pakistan, almost now in a desperate bid, has written a letter to India, an appeal rather, a desperate letter I'd say, asking for discussions on the Indus Water Treaty and of course proposing peace talks. So it clearly looks like Pakistan has been hurt. How important is it for India to maintain its ground at this point? And where's the way forward? Where do you envision this going?
Thank you for invite. Let me add a few more points what the earlier panelist has discussed. Basically, this treaty was done in 1960 by the mediation of World Bank, and this is dividing the water of Indus Basin. And there are 6 rivers like Ravi, Satluj, Byas has been allotted to India, and that Jhelum, Chenab, and Indus has gone to Pakistan. And in all the cases, India is upper riparian and Pakistan is the lower riparian. This treaty was done 65 years ago. But today, the situation had changed totally in the context of climate change, environmental issues. There are a number of things that India had been asking to review this treaty, but Pakistan was not responding and not looking forward. This is the conflict regarding this Tulbul, as correctly pointed out, that it started in 1980, and that the purpose was that 3 districts of Jammu and Kashmir, that Anantnag, Barappula, and Srinagar will be irrigated through this barrage, Tulbul barrage, that would be built in Jammu and Indian Jammu and Kashmir, and this was the things, but Pakistan had objection, and then it was stopped. But I'm very unfortunate that while I was listening Mehbooba Mufti Mohammed Saeed, that she was basically talking about the Pakistan, that Pakistan
Yeah.
who is home of the terror, and that we have very clear policy that the blood and the water cannot flow together. So this is the another thing that India has adopted. India has
Right.
two policies to deal with Pakistan today. One is, of course, that had been the soft power approaches, that having all kinds of cooperations, economic, cultural, even cooperations, humanitarian assistance, and trying to have the dialogue and discussion in the past. But you know that Pakistan had been repeatedly supporting and sponsoring terrorism, and the number of incidents from the Mumbai attack to Uri and then Pathankot, and then we have seen in Pahalgam. India had adopted the second policy after, particularly when we had gone for the surgical strike in Balakot and all that. The first was as an hard power, and there are two approaches in the hard power. One is deterrence by punishment, that if you will not stop, then we will punish you. We will punish you economically, and we will punish you militarily. So we have punished them
Yeah.
economically, and we have stopped the flow of the Indus water. We have basically kept the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance, and that is a direct punishment to the Pakistan. That is a lower riparian, and let the people also know that why India is taking these measures. While they are deep states, their army, they are openly supporting the violent non-state actors, the terror group, the Lashkar-e-Toiba, and all these
Right.
Hafiz Saeed and all that. So this is one strategy that India had been adopting, and in that deterrence by punishment, that we had this again, the Operation Sindoor, and we have destroyed all nine bases, that establishments of the terrorists they have been wrecking. The second strategy we have adopted is the
Yeah.
denial strategy, and in this denial strategy, we are trying to upgrade our border checkpost and our intelligence services and all that points set, so that these violent non-state actors could not enter in Indian territory and can have that these kinds of Pahalgam kinds of tragedy to the people. And I think this should be understood by Mehbooba Mufti Mohammed Said. She should think about the Kashmiri people. She should think about India, and she
Yeah.
should think the humanities, that the way the terrorist outfits are doing. And it is assumed that I'm not sure that America has mediated. It is not the Americans. We have done. Our operation is against the terrorism. The Operation Sindoor is, and this is not complete. This is Sindoor 1, and then if they will continue, then we will have Sindoor 2 and Sindoor 3 and Sindoor 4. So we will not going to stop. And
Right,
this has been
absolutely. So Indus Water Treaty and besides, more than actually weaponizing this, I think India is now looking for its own interests. So one can very well say that India is trying to weaponize this, but the fact is that India had the raw end of the deal. For
It's
decades,
not a
we've been
weapon.
trying to
I think it's
renegotiate,
not a weapon
never
that
happened.
India
So
is
this is
using.
the opportune time. A quick Yeah, yeah, we got that point. A quick and final word from Major General Astana. Sir, do you believe that this treaty, the Indus Water Treaty that India had with Pakistan going for decades, did injustice to Jammu and Kashmir more than actually honoring the peace between the two nations? And do you believe that Pakistan will actually be able to end terror with looking at these terror outfits so intertwined with the army of Pakistan? They're literally one family. And India says, until you nip terror in the bud, we will not go back on the Indus Water Treaty. Where does this end? Should we now should we really now focus and commit to benefiting Jammu and Kashmir by keeping the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance, by reviving the Tulbul project? Your word on that.
Okay, thank you for giving me some chance. Firstly, water is the jugular vein of Pakistan. It may not be jugular vein of Asif Munir. He may have a different ideas. As far as this treaty is concerned, certainly it was unfair treaty. It was signed unfairly because we were too liberal at that point of time. And what I'm going to speak is, I agree with both the panelists, whatever they have spoken. So let me add a few points there. Firstly, as per the treaty, we were supposed to, or the northern rivers, that is Indus, Chenab, and Jhelum, Pakistan was supposed to use 80% of water. Unfortunately, it was using 93% of water, and we were telling them that we want to negotiate for last 2 years, and they didn't budge. So therefore, there was no option for us to perhaps make sure that we negotiated considering the current ground realities. Now, since the negotiation is out and water and blood cannot flow together is very clear policy, and I think it is going to be our strategy too. So therefore, I think we need to start building dams. This project is very much, I totally support this project. And I also, because this project was basically linking Jhelum with Wullar Lake and creating more storage, which so that the water can be utilized by Kashmir. And the demand of Jammu and Kashmir is a very fair one and must be met. And therefore, as far as Mehbooba Mufti is concerned, I don't agree with what she is saying. And as was pointed out very appropriately, there was no American mediation. I don't know why she wants to sit in Pakistan, in the lab of Pakistan, as well as America. That may be her intention, but notwithstanding that, the question is, as far as a country we are concerned, there are two aspects. In response to terror, we started off with the non-kinetic actions first, and thereafter we attempted the kinetic actions, which were very successful. We continue with non-kinetic action. Op Sindoor is not over, and holding this treaty in abeyance is a non-kinetic action. And therefore, I think it is a good chance for us to make sure that we promote all projects which are there, which it could not only be the dams, it can also be river linking projects, so that we get more water in the northern part as well as in some part of Punjab and Haryana. So the point is, these linking projects can help us out. We need more water, and certainly certain projects can also be given on public-private partnership so that they get expedited, because government resources to push through these projects in a record time may be limited. And therefore, I think we need to reach out to the private companies also to speed up these projects. And this is a requirement. This is a genuine requirement of India. And although it is being read in context of punishing Pakistan, but I don't think it's a fair demand of India and would be treated as such and should be projected as such. Back to you.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Major General SBS Sana, for joining me, along with Professor Sanjay Bharadwaj and Pratikrit. Thank you for your time.